G'day everybody, Simon here, Explosive Action. Today we're doing a response video to Melanie Loves Death Metal. 2 tapes, 2 CDs, 2 vinyl, and 2 pieces of memorabilia that mean something to me. Let's get into it. And the usual reminder that this video went to channel members early, 99 cents a month. You can join the channel, get early access to videos, talk to me in the comments, get a special little emoji against your name when you're chatting to me. All the good stuff like that, and you never know, we might have exclusive videos in the future. Before we get into today's topic, I'm going to show you the latest edition of Devoured Death Magazine. This is issue 666. Of course it is. They had to make the 6th issue the 666th issue because metal as fuck, right? And here we are. This is, if you don't know it, this is a really, really great fanzine. It's done in a sort of cut and paste style. There's the great cover. There's the back there with the new Crucifier compilation coming out. Crucifier is one of the bands that was behind Steve that helped pen this magazine, Devoured Death, who was also in Incabulous. Yeah, we got some good interviews here. We've got Underground Force interview here. That's a distro down in Melbourne run by Damon Bloodstorm, who was in Corpse Molestation, and a bunch of other good bands that you're familiar with. Yeah, we got interviews here with, let's see, we got Aberration, one of my favorites of last year. Nice interview there. We've got Sphere of Apparition promos there. Got a Cadaveric Incubator, great death grind band. Don't want to give away too much. Yeah, Grave Miasma interview. It's a really well done A5 magazine. It's quite hefty. I think this is the thickest one yet. The quality and the of everything and how it's put together gets better each time. Yeah, some reviews at the end. So well worth checking out. I'll put the links in the description for where you can get it. I think the local Australian copies are pretty close to running out, but you should find this in all the usual distros where you can find magazines and things. So yeah, check out Devoured Death Magazine, issue 666. So the topic today was a response video to Melanie Loves Death Metal. She did a video about things that mean something to you or things with a good story behind them. And she talked to 2 cassettes, 2 CDs, 2 LPs, and 2 pieces of memorabilia. I've gone with the same topic, probably staying on topic, but I might have my own flair. I've decided to intentionally not show things that were sent to me by fellow YouTubers. I don't want to pick favorites or anything like that. I just wanted to pick up. I wanted to go with things that I had acquired my own through the years and the significance that they play for me. Yeah, the first off, we're going to talk about 2 cassettes which I've had since mid-90s, and the first one is my favorite demo cassette of all time. This is Neuropath, a band that I have banged on about millions of times. This is their second demo, Desert of Excruciation. Came out in 96, I think it was. This was a very short-lived, like I'm talking 18 months long, Sydney-based. I think they might have been Newcastle or so. Death metal band, very brutal death metal in kind of a suffocation, but darker and more evil. Suffocation Immolation, like an Asian band, Suffocation Immolation, Incantation, an Asian band. Yeah, I always love this thing. The tracks on it, it's only got 3 tracks. The artwork I always thought was fantastic. And yeah, so for this was a tape that I think the reason for me knowing about the tape is a bit of a mystery. I can't recall if I had pre-knowledge about this or if this was something I picked up randomly. I've got a feeling I might have read about it in one of the early heavy metal magazines at the time, and that was probably going to be the HM or Hot Metal magazine. There's a chance I read about it then. If not, either way, I picked this up from the infamous Hammer House, which was the physical store run by Warhead Records. Now, Warhead Records, that's a label I think most of you would be across, at least to some degree. They had pretty much all Australian bands. They did Armored Angel was probably one of the bigger ones on there. They did one of their albums. They did plenty of demos and things like that. They did the Lord Chaos Thorns of Impurity album, that was a fairly big one for them. And they also released this Neuropath demo. They did some tapes. So yeah, this is a actual Warhead Records cassette. I'll just pull it out here. And there's a few reasons why it's significant. There you go. There's the inside. Great. You can listen to this whole thing on my secondary channel. Link will be in the description. I uploaded it some time ago. And you can also get this along with the other demo on an excellent CD compilation that came out, I think, the year before last, that I highly recommend. There you go. There's the same both sides demo. Tracks Incantation of Decrepit Nihilism, My Bleeding Mortality, and Copulation of Insanity. So the easiest way is to get the CD comp, and I highly recommend that. But yeah, I picked this up from the Hammer House, Warhead Records physical shop, out in Parramatta when I was a young lad. Came out in 96. It was probably 97, I would say, that I would have picked this up. A long train journey for me from where I lived to Parramatta. That would have taken me under 2 hours, but a fair journey for a 17-year-old. And yeah, I remember going into the shop, and that was the first experience I had of the Hammer House. It's a bit hazy in my head these days. I've probably, romanticized it a little bit, but I remember it being very dark, very small. There being a pit bull terrier called Fenris that barked at people that dressed inappropriately, and the stock. I remember there being so much. It was just underground. Like, you had Utopia Records in the city for your standard stuff and your Nuclear Blast and your Roadrunner Records and all that kind of stuff. Then you went out to the Hammer House and you found things like this and strange imports on labels you hadn't heard of, and just that was where you went for the more underground stuff. And it was quite a journey, but I went out there probably a handful of times, maybe about 5-6 times over the course of my young teenage to early adult life. And they shut down around about 2000, maybe 2001. The shop shut down around about then, which was really sad because that would have been right when I would have started to spend a lot more money. But I got some of my favorite early CDs there. I never was buying records at the time, but I bought my favorite early CDs. I bought multiple demo tapes there. And yeah, Neuropath Desert of Excruciation was definitely one I picked up there. So yeah, I remember just enjoying the journey, going in there. I think the first time I went by myself. Picking this tape up, I have a vague recollection that there was a glass counter and they had a lot of the tapes under that. But yeah, it's a little bit hazy these days, but it's still a nice memory. And it is a killer demo tape. I've thrashed it so much. It warbles a little bit, so I was glad that the CD came out because, man, Desert of Excruciation from Neuropath, absolutely outstanding. Now, the other tape I want to show, and I have a recollection of this one also being probably in the Hot Metal magazine, so I don't know how else I would have found out about it, but I remember I mailed off to buy it, and I sent my dollar coins in the post and mailed them down to a guy in the band named Terry, and that is Order of Chaos, not Order from Chaos, but Order of Chaos. They were at this time, it was a Melbourne band. They were very much on the death metal side with a little bit of technicality in them. Over the years, they morphed. They got a bit more accessible. They ultimately ended a bit more metalcore. But really, all I really liked from the band was this demo. And there isn't much that sounds like this still. It is actually quite a unique sound. Again, this one's on my secondary channel. Link will be in the description. You can go listen to the whole thing. But why this one was important was I had this feeling like I was young. I was probably... This was probably 16, 17 again, at most 17. And I found out about this thing, mailed off, wrote a letter, got a letter back with a tape, that kind of deal. And I don't know, the quality of the thing, I had so little physical copies of things at the time. I would have had, this tape, the Neuropath tape. I can't think of any other demo metal tapes I would have had. I would have had my dad's old copy of, War of the Worlds. So getting into tapes was just this. It wasn't nostalgic yet because it was still the 90s, and you could still buy blank tapes and make your own home dubs. It wasn't dead yet. You could still probably buy Walkmans. But yeah, this to me was different. To I was getting into Morbid Angel and Carcass, and all those bands were over there. This was a band that was effectively local, and it just felt closer to home. And I was interacting with the band, and I felt real giddy that this guy in Melbourne wrote back to me and sent me a copy of the tape. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I hadn't heard it when I bought it. I think I just saw the cover. I thought the cover was cool, and yeah, picked it up. So I've thrashed this thing as well. We've got 6 tracks, I think. True Believer is an intro. Then we've got Baphomet, Dominion of Tolerance, Visitors, Recycled Souls, and Behold the Mark of Non-Existence. The demo is called You Do Not Exist. And like I said, it is a bit different to anything else, really. I can't really say that they sounded like much else. So that was really helpful at the time. There you go. We've got a little Dolby Digital logo on it. Pretty much the last time people bother mixing anything with Dolby. But for a brief period of time after that, Terry on guitar and vocals, I stayed in touch with Terry, and he sent along a promo copy on a home dub of material that was coming out after this. And I know I've got that tape, but I at this exact moment can't find it. It's not with my rest of my tapes. It's probably with some collectibles somewhere. I did go looking for it, but I know I've got it. It was a TDK tape, and it had handwritten track names of stuff that was coming up later. So I've got that as well, and it came with a note that he wrote. And we chatted to and fro a little bit, and for a brief period of time as well, I ran an Order of Chaos website when I was learning all my early computery skills back in, I probably spun it up in about 98, 99. Yeah, I was keeping that updated when they had their CD EP that came out after Perpetual. Perpetual was a pretty decent EP as well, 3 tracks, I think. And then after that, I think they took a break, and then it kind of came back, and it was a bit more metalcore after that, and I wasn't too interested. But here, yeah, a really interesting death metal demo tape, pretty unique sounding, and just a little bit of a, I don't know, just a bit of a pushing me a little bit out of my comfort zone at the time, and interacting with people, in another state to send my dollars off and get a tape back, and have an almost pen pal kind of thing for a very brief period of time. And I just thought, wow, I'm chatting to a band. How cool am I? Whatever. Order of Chaos. You Do Not Exist. Really good tape. You should check this one out as well. So we'll talk about CDs now, and I've got 2 things to show, but there is 4 CDs in total. But the first one, and this one is hugely important to me because it was the first CD I ever bought with my own money. I would have bought this in 1994. It is the same CD. It still works. It started to get a little bit of laser rot. I actually looked at it before, and it's got the little black worm thing starting to crawl. I'm like, oh god, it's going to give up. But it doesn't matter. It's not like it's a hard one to get. Metallica and Justice for All. I think it was the Australian press. Yeah, the Made in Australia press from 1988. And I bought this used from a record store in my town at the time called Mad Hatters, which had just opened up. And that store I have the best memories of. That's where I got so much stuff for my CD collection between 94 and 2000. Very, very early days, like 94, 95, 96, I wouldn't have been buying much. I would have bought this. And I remember buying Beneath the Remains, 1 or 2 other things. But then when I was into later high school, having a bit more money to play with, I was in there all the time. And I bought everything from there was an Amorphous CD I got in there, Absu's Barathrum I got in there. You name it, lots of stuff I picked up in there. But the very first CD I ever bought was from Mad Hatters, and it was Metallica and Justice for All. So this album is what was the CD I had. I didn't have anything else, nothing of note anyway, nothing that I bought myself. I think I had like a 100% hits 1993 or something that I was probably given at Christmas or whatever, and I was 13, 14 or whatever, so I enjoyed it enough. But when I got this, that's when everything changed, and I absolutely obsessed over this CD. I played it, well, I'd say to death. If this was a tape, it would have fallen to bits by now. But yeah, I mean, you all know this. obviously, but the obsession I absolutely had for this thing. Like, I remembered all the lengths of the tracks. I still know that Dyer's Eve runs for 5 minutes and 12 seconds. It was just embedded in me. You know, there's the boys. And it really did start me off on not just the musical listening, but I like Jason's hair. So from 1994, I never had a haircut again. Not a proper one. Just trims, you know, here and there. And then, yeah, that was it. I had long hair from like 95 till now. And that was basically because of, the photo of Jason Newsted there. I thought, man, I want hair like that. There you go. But yeah, Metallica. It's almost an easy pick, this one, but it was the first CD I bought with my own money. I want to say it was $15. I think it was about that in Australian money, which, you know, would have taken me not too long to amass, but it was still more money than I would usually have. Got my coppers and my dollar coins together, and I ended up with And Justice for All. So it's still like first or second in my favorite Metallica albums, and that's my original copy. So yeah, And Justice for All. We move on to the next lot of CDs, and this is 3 I'm showing, and this is a entirely different reason. Now, I had these CDs on reissue, early reissues for quite some time, but there's a story behind how I have obtained the 3 original, but some releases, the self-titled album, the Aske EP, and Detsum Engang Ba. I love these things. We could talk about the quality of Varg as a human all night, but in terms of the music, I've always loved these things, and these releases, these editions that I'm holding here, particularly memorable to me, very important to me, because I received these when one of my good mates had passed away, and when his brother was clearing out his unit, he invited a select few amount of his closest friends. I think it was maybe about 6 or 7 of us, and said we can all take a few things that we know that he would have appreciated us having. And I grabbed a few movies. I didn't grab records. I grabbed a few DVDs, a couple of interesting bits of like knickknacks, a RoboCop figure that I know that he would have liked me to have, and these CDs were also in there. And for that very reason, like, these are never leaving my collection. 1, because I was able to upgrade from Digipack reissues, but 2, hugely sentimental, obviously. And like, so this is the first album. It's I think it's the same year. It's not the original. It's the same year reissue. So the very original one on the back here has Varg's home address. Then I think it's the same year it was reissued with the DSP address. So this is the Death Like Silence edition. And when I say these things are mint, I mean, it's like I bought it today. I don't know if that's going to come across, but yeah, my buddy, he took care of his stuff. So that one, the ASCII Mini LP, go. Again, the same original. This one is the original. So, yeah, super stoked that he had these. Yeah, beautiful condition. And Detsum Engang Ba, which I had my favorite with the one that came after it, Havisla Set Taros. This is the Cymophane edition, which I think was sort of like Varg's attempt at his own label or something. Cymophane Productions. So yeah, the original one. The 3 of these combined on Discogs, the price is ridiculous. In Australian money, probably about $1,000 for the 3, which, no, they're staying with me. Yeah, I love them, obviously. As I said, you can say what you want about Varg as a person, but as a musician, these releases are excellent. And for the reason of how I got these and who I got them from, they're never leaving the collection. So for vinyl, I don't have a huge amount that I would say had like massive sentimental value or anything like that. So the 2 I'm going to show are ones that I had determined early on were grails that I had to get. And so for that reason, they're never leaving the collection. And the first one here, this was the one when I got back into LPs, I was like, this one is the White Whale. This one I have to get. At the time, there was no reissue. Well, not a reissue with the proper cover, anyway. This is Demigod with Slumber of Sullen Eyes. On a Given Day, my favorite Finnish death metal album. Toe to toe with Corelli and Isthmus. I don't know, we could be here for a while. Well, without God as well from Convulse. I just love Finnish death metal, right? But Demigod, Slumber of Sullen Eyes. Yeah, I got this one in, I think, about 2019, 2020. And had to push the boat out a little bit to get it. But not a stupid amount. I got it for a reasonable amount, less than the prices Discogs was trying to charge. And it is in fantastic condition. It's the original Drown Productions press. So this one, I don't have a, strong, like, nostalgic memories for why I've got this or why I won't sell it. This was me setting myself up with I have to have this press of Slumber of Sullen Eyes. I was not going to accept the Stream Records version with the crappy orange cover. There's the band. So young. Look at Issa here on the end. It's about 12. Lyrics. And the LP is in great condition. Yeah, basically near mint. I will pull it out to try and show you. Yeah, it's pretty close to near mint. Wonderful stuff. It sounds amazing. It's, like I said, one of my favorites, and I was absolutely determined that this would be a rare example of not quite money is no object, but that it was less of an object than with other records. There's not many that I have decided that I would put down some real money for, but Demigod, Slumber of Sullen Eyes was definitely one of those that I simply had to have. So it's never leaving the collection. You can have your Svart reissues all you like, and I'm very happy that they're out there again, but no, OG or bust for me on Demigod. So if I was showing stuff that fellow YouTubers in the VCLT had sent me there for my records, I would have definitely picked Roger Hjorvik, because he sent me that massive load of LPs just a few months ago, and they were hugely appreciated. So again, thank you, sir, for sending those on. But I'm going to stick to what I was originally showing, which was more those absolute mandatory sort of White Whale items that I have to get. And I was determined, this was really early back in my LP rebirth stage when I was getting back into records, that as soon as I saw this thing and I had a little bit of money, I was going to grab it. And I pretty much got one of the last ones before it kind of tripled and quadrupled in price. The Abigail Hornix box set. I don't care what happens to me. I could lose all my money. I could lose my job. Anything could happen. This thing is not leaving my hands. This, for me, Abigail is in my top 5 bands of all time. This run of albums from the Hornix Studios is basically impeccable. I've always loved them. I've had the original CDs for ever and ever and ever, but I always wanted these things on record. Now, I had, back in my very first go at doing vinyl, which was about 2000 to 2004, something around there, 2005, then I sold them all off. In that time, there was the reissue, maybe it wasn't the reissue, it was the first vinyl issue of Verwestung on LP, and I bought that at the time. Had a different cover. I was like really happy I had it on LP, but it was the wrong cover and all that kind of thing. And then ultimately I sold all those records at the time. I didn't have a huge collection. I had maybe 80 records, and I sold them all off. Then I got back into records in about 2017 and started all up again, 8 years ago now. And one of the very first things, one of the first 10 things I bought was the Hornix box. I got this directly from Pulverized Records, who had some stock left. I think I had 1 or 2. Huge box. And Pulverized being in Singapore and shipping DHL, just like he did for that Jade album the other week. I get it in a few days, and the cost was great. So you get this amazing hard box, 1994 to 1998. Absolutely classic era of Abigail. Pop that there. And we get Verstone, which is a different cover again, but it is from the same photo shoot, obviously. Invoke the Dark Age LP. Look at those photos. Amazing. You've got the Hail Satan down here with Euronymous image. Brilliant. Then we have Booklet, Retaliation. Arguably, is this an EP? Is this an album? Archives, I think, calls it an EP these days. It's got a lot of tracks, but it's a short album. Like I think it's under 30 minutes. I think. So whatever you can call it, whatever you like. You can call it the second album. You can call it the first EP. But yeah, Upluck, the Retaliation gets overlooked, I think, a little bit in general. Most people will go straight to this one, Nachthimen, from the Twilight Kingdom. I mean, why wouldn't you? It is such a fantastic album. Always loved the cover as well. As Astral Images Darken Reality has got to be one of the best black metal songs ever. Unleashed Axe Age as well. Opus 4, another great one. Pretty visceral on this album as well. Love that spiky chair. Would certainly hurt to sit on. So, yep. Another fantastic album. One of my personal favorites is the Apocalypse EP, where they were getting more and more symphonic, just slightly, a little bit more symphonic and a little bit more out there with each release. And then here they just went back to like pre Verstone. They just plug in the guitars and bang. It's not quite up there with like Ulver's Nathan's Madrigal or anything like that. This is it's straight up and it's raw, but it's not like it's a demo or anything. But it is an amazingly tight EP as well, and it's completely and utterly nasty. 6 tracks, so good. Absolutely love this one. Then we get last one at the Hornick Studios in this run is Supreme Immortal Art. It's my least favorite of all of them, but it was the album that I heard the first because of the tracks Satan in Me, and then Soil of Souls. I mean, they're excellent tracks. I think some of the B-side is less strong than maybe the rest of Abigor's early discography. It's not saying much. I mean, it's still like an 8 out of 10 at the very least. But something's got to be last, right? And for me, yeah, this one is. But it has still got some absolute crackers on it, like I mentioned. The Soil of Souls is fantastic, but they're getting way more symphonic on here too. It even looks a little bit like Emperor's Anthems album with the green. So, yeah, that's the LPs in the Hornix box, and an amazing booklet as well. Full color. There's all the albums, lyrics, just fantastic. Look at that, photos. So yeah, this thing is never leaving my side. It is an essential box set. At the time, I paid about 400 Australian landed, which is about, I don't know, 230 US dollars or something. Something about that is what I paid for this. It's pushing more than 1,000 these days. I'm never letting it go. I always wanted Abigor on vinyl. Now I have every Abigor on vinyl, and these are the main ones to get. So yeah, the Abigor Hornix box set, just perfection. And now we move on to Memorabilia, and I'm also including merch in this one because I'm not one of those guys that has, signed picture discs of Iron Maiden. I have a couple of signed things, but I didn't get them signed. They were just how I purchased them. I've never lined up and met a band and got things signed or anything like that. So I don't have that kind of memorabilia. But I do have some things that have some stories and things that, again, never leave the collection. The first one's kind of funny, and this was actually given to me by a former work colleague who also a really good friend that knows me very well. And for a work Christmas party, she bought me this. This is the empty bag, but this is Cannibal Corpse Beheaded Brewing. This was coffee beans. I laughed so hard. Did you have any idea that Cannibal Corpse had an officially licensed coffee bean production? Beheaded Brewing. And the artwork was just so amazing that, of course, I had to keep this. Like, what? You wouldn't throw out this and go, I've drunk the coffee now, out with the bag. No. This thing gets hung up on the wall. It's so good. Liquefy your brain. And she bought it entirely because of the fact that it was Cannibal Corpse and this artwork. Like, the coffee was secondary. Organic barley blue moon. Tasting notes: cedar, vanilla, black licorice. Wet hold process, whatever that may be, and bourbon and typica varietal. I don't know what that means. By Concept Cafes and roasted by Cottery Coffee Company. Got the CannibalCorpse.net URL on the bottom there, and it's a Vince Locke artwork. So yeah, it's amazing, right? Isn't it? The least good thing about this was the coffee beans themselves, and it's down to personal taste, but vanilla. Yeah, I don't like vanilla in coffee, vanilla lattes. I've never really liked it too much. Thankfully, it was incredibly black coffee, and I drink coffee black, so it was still a good brew, but the vanilla was like the edge was there the whole time. I'm like, wish it didn't have the vanilla, but it doesn't matter. The thought was amazing, and the artwork is amazing, and the fact that this exists, Cannibal Corpse coffee, it's so death clock. Like, this is Duncan Hill's coffee right here. So funny. Beheaded Brewing Cannibal Corpse coffee, given to me by a very good friend. If you know anything about me, you will know that my favorite band of all time is Carcass. So I'm going to show you a bunch of Carcass stuff here. You can count this all as one if you like, but yeah, I do have a couple of things. Now, I used to have a lot more. In that first LP phase, I had a lot of Carcass bootlegs. So at that time, Carcass were no longer a band, and I was just buying whatever I could. Yeah, I had the St. George Hall 7-inch. I had some really crappy quality non-soundboard live concert recordings, but had cool covers. If I can remember, I'll stick up some photos of the ones that I remember. I don't have those anymore, and that's fine, but I did keep this strange thing that I bought from Sydney's Utopia Records back probably about 97. I'd say I bought this, and that is the Carcass 1993 Heartwork Tour Itinerary. I don't know if this is still a thing with bands. I'm sure it's not for any normal band, but maybe big bands have this. But this was the itinerary that was printed and given to the band and anyone working with the band. And Utopia had copies for sale, and I remember buying one. It was probably about, I want to say about $40 or something. But this is such a time capsule of so many things here, right? We've got the Modern Invasion design of how they did all their stuff. That block lettering was complete Modern Invasion. Then we have the tour itinerary, right? So we start off here, Thursday, 18th of November in, this is 93. Now, I have to stress, I did not see the band on this tour. I'm 13. I'm way underage. I didn't go and see this. I didn't even know who Carcass were at the time. But yeah, Thursday, 18th of November in 1993, they went to Brisbane. Then we have the 20th of November, a travel day, Brisbane to Sydney. 21st, Sydney, they played 2 venues. I imagine one of those actually was all ages. Probably Napoleon's Hotel was probably going to be an afternoon show, I would say. Phoenician Club in the evening, I would say. 22nd of November, we had the day off. The 23rd, travel and show, ending up in Perth. So quite the journey, Sydney to Perth. That's the other side of the country. It's basically like going west coast to east coast in America. It's exactly the same. And then day off in Perth on the 24th, and then travel and show the 25th to Adelaide. That's the middle of the country at the venue. 26th of November, Melbourne at the Hell Club. I have no idea if that venue exists. I strongly doubt it does. I've never heard of it until this. And 27th, we have 2 shows at Hell Club. So again, probably in all ages in there. The touring personnel. Everybody listed here. We've got Bill Steer as guitarist, Michael Hickey as guitarist. I don't know who Michael Hickey is, but he was here for the tour. Ken Owen on drums, Jeff Walker on bass. No vocals mentioned here, because you don't need to bring those with you, do you? Martin Nesbitt was the band manager, and Craig Chettle was the audio engineer. Daniel Janeka was the promoter. I think that is the guy from Modern Invasion. I think that's Daniel from Modern Invasion. Dennis Bork was the production manager. Jane Williams from merchandising. This is so thorough. And then you get into it. You get all the management addresses, all the phone numbers, all the different people to call, if you get lost or whatever. New Zealand shows were included here. 17th November, we played in Wellington. 18th, we played Wellington again. That's all in Wellington. Travel details. We have the flight numbers. So, QFTN 626 at 2:45 p.m. That was the flight they were on. This is just ridiculous, the kind of stuff here. I mean, I'm imagining this is, you know, big bands like Metallica or whatever have this kind of stuff, and there's things being printed, and you know, certain people will have copies of it. But like a professionally bound thing with its own cover, it's ridiculous. Phone numbers of things, yeah, all the locations to go to. On some of them, it mentions the with sound checks on times, what to do. Ground transport, pick up one Tarago from Hertz Rental. Hope they did. Some of there's a page here that has the end of tour then on the back, has the supports. Where are we? Try and find it quickly. Yeah, there we go. The opening acts. So we've got Hate Man. I don't know who Hate Man were. Paul Curtis was his phone number. And then Acheron, who then became a Bremerlin. So there we go. There's Acheron there with Simon Dower, who is still in a Bremerlin to this day. And there is his phone number back in the day. I won't dox him. And Misery, Damon Robinson there with his phone number. Like, this is ridiculous. And I thought that when I picked this up, I thought it was ridiculous. Like, I could buy this? Okay. And I've had it ever since. I've had this thing in a plastic sleeve for 30 years or whatever it's been. So, yeah. And I've put in that same sleeve a new edition, and that is Bill Steer's guitar pick. When I saw them last year, I was right up the front, and Bill flicked out the pick, and I caught it. And it's got his signature on it. So, together I've got old and new. Really awesome carcass stuff there. Great memorabilia. And just to sort of round it all out, I've got some cool shirts. Now, this one I always wanted, and I got this one. These were both my very, very, very early eBay purchases. I opened my eBay account in 1999. Every time I have to send eBay a complaint about something, the first thing they do is say, "Thank you so much for your long service." They do it every time. But this was one of the first shirts I bought on eBay. And I always wanted this one because this, the long sleeve version anyway, but this is the short sleeve version, was the same shirt that the guitarist in Gorefest was wearing on the live Eindhoven Insanity Confessions of a Serial Killer video. And I always, like, my worldview scope was so small back then, watching that Death is Just the Beginning Volume 3 VHS, that I had to get this shirt, and ultimately I did. And I didn't fade it. It's been this faded the whole time. It was very used when I got it. I rarely wear it because it's quite thin. But every now and then I bust it out. Carcass. All spelt out. Great. Always love this design. So good. Yeah, one of the early eBay purchases inspired by a Gorefest video. And around about the same time as well, from a different seller, there was some guy, I vaguely remember the story, but there was some guy in the UK that was selling all of this Carcass merch. And I remember reading somewhere or hearing somewhere along the lines that he worked for Earache Records in the past and just had all this stuff and was selling this stuff was new, and I've worn the hell out of this one. I bought a bunch of shirts. I even bought, which I probably should have pulled out, but I don't know where it is. I got for free, actually, because I bought about 8 shirts. He chucked in for free a black size small, which is not going to fit me, but it did fit my wife. It was a tour shirt for the roadies, and it had nothing about Carcass on it. It just said sleep, money, food. That's all it says on it. And that apparently was a Ken Owen, basically, mantra. He lived his life by it. That's all you need: sleep, money, food. And they must have thought it was hilarious. And they made shirts apparently for all the roadies. And I ended up with one of those, and I've got it somewhere. But one of the ones I bought, which I love, is this guy. Bright red, block lettered, with the Grey's Anatomy face, and the 1992 Carcass on Tour Brain photo there. Long sleeve. It's got the tools of the trade on the sleeves. Yeah. Again, this comes out maybe once every other year. I'll pop this on. And it stays in pretty good condition. Like the armpits are not destroyed. It's usually the first thing to go. yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't look great in red, so it only comes out once every couple of years, but every so often, I feel the need. I feel the need, and yeah, that's great. So there you go. That's the memorabilia, my carcass stuff there, and yeah, that's this video. That's the response I'm going to be doing here for Melanie Loves Death Metal. This was a really cool idea. Hope you don't mind my kind of twist on it. I didn't change too much about it, but yeah, I hope others get in on this. Looking at you, Jeff Mendicant Media. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to some more videos. Check out Alan from Let's Talk Metal. He did a response as well. Cool little thread. And this was about the brain power I had this week. Let's put this one together. Because I'm going to be on the Heavy Metallurgy tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about 80s thrash. And it's going to be monstrous. But for now, hope you liked this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, check out this guy. Check out this guy. And I'll see you next time.